My friends, I hope you are fantastic and you're feeling well. You're feeling in these turbulent times a little bit motivated to do something that really matters. And for that, we need the capacity to bounce back, the capacity to take care of our well being, the capacity to improve and perform well. And for that, I chose this specific topic today to talk a little bit more about performance and performance mindset. And everybody calls it differently. Some people call it resilience. I call it also a little bit resilience because that's also kind of my specialty, coming from the sports background, being certified in different sports athletes and being, doing boot camps and starting on a fitness side and competing myself in a pro bodybuilding and different sports like obstacle racing and eventually, table tennis, on different type of things just to push performance. I was always very keen into understanding how to make myself better, how to improve my performance. And for that, you need to often tackle these holistic things that are happening. And there are many assessments out there from, Brandon Burchard, his high performance habits, or the Resilience Institute, where I'm certified from, and really kind of getting that dialed in into your daily life, I think is key in terms of how you can improve your career, how you can improve your life, and as well, kind of having some variable tracking your performance can be very effective and very helpful just because you have, like, nowadays, if you compare it to back 20 years ago when we maybe had less technology or not in it, the variables how they are today, the access to these different tools. And it's really amazing because that's what I want to talk to you about. First ask yourself where you are on your journey, whether that's in your career or your home situation, perhaps with your relationship, and kind of always assess on the scale from one being not really good and 10 being very good, how you're doing on these things. And I want to give you some examples today, especially around the resilience, because through the certification that I've done around resilience and through these different things, especially in my life, I've developed different metrics how to measure my performance. And it's very hard sometimes because we move through these ups and downs in life, different seasons, different situations, different obstacles. And sometimes, you might be really strong in your mind and you are really ready to tackle the challenge, but your body is not there. Your performance is not there just because your body's tired. You've been tired. Generally, you feel like it's just been a lot. You maybe don't sleep really well. And throughout the years, as I was kind of pushing a lot on the physical side, and as I used to usually preach that when you push the body, you can push the mind. So when I mastered like the different things in my life, in the physical realm, a lot of things in my life improved holistically. And that's the beauty in dialing down on your energy. But I want to give you a little food for the thought today. First, kind of two frameworks. One is framework that I developed myself, and then I gonna match it against a little bit from the Resilience Institute, and also generally like different frameworks like Brandon Burchard, who talks about energy, clarity, high performance, productivity, necessity. And a lot of these things can really help you to score yourself in the morning, in the evening, and how you actually operate in your life. So in my life, I have these three metrics, how I measure myself. So I always, when I meet people and when I talk to them and when they ask me, hey, Matteo, what do you think I should improve? I usually start with the energy, and energy entails everything. So I always look like, if I meet people, do they radiate energy? And sometimes, probably like yourself, you've met people who are tired, who look slumped, their shoulders are slumped. They just feel like physically they don't feel they don't look healthy. Their skin maybe is not nice, or they just generally look like they don't drink enough water, or they're tired. And sometimes there are no physical symptoms, but generally how they describe themselves to you, it's not how they would portray themselves usually. And it might be that it's a period of their life or period of my life or your life where you suddenly stop doing some things that you used to do, but because of switching in habit, switching of job, maybe getting a newborn baby, so you sleep less, or maybe you switched a partner, you got a divorce, and suddenly all of these things that you used to do and that we used to work for you switch, and you feel like you're losing a little bit the ground. So first, when I meet with people, what I really look for is, are they radiating the energy? So for me, I get this, and I hear this very often. People that I don't see every day, and family, friends, and they usually say, "Boy, you look so good," and you look so radiant. And the big thing and the secret that I do is obviously consistency in my habits, in terms of sleep, in terms of exercise, in terms of my health, or a little bit of a diet. How do I eat? It's also managing stress, right? But then I'm already tapping into the resilience part that I will talk about. But really, on a physical realm, for me, exercise, if I would dial it down on, if you can, now you're in a difficult period of your life, what can really improve in your life and how can you improve it, is really doubling down on your exercise. First thing in the morning that I would advise you, if you can, and if you can assess a little bit where you're spending your energy. And remember, I'm your guide, right? But in the end, you decide. Everybody has to decide for themselves whether that works for them. For me, I realized building my own gym at home, not commuting always somewhere, is advantageous. Obviously, you have the less of the social crowd and the social pressure that you get with going with somebody to the gym. That's why I exercise with my partner. But for me, flexibility and designing workouts so that I can fit it into my schedule when I'm, busy executive on the road or visiting customers, or perhaps going to conferences. I cannot maybe go to the gym, 5 times a week. And as well, throughout my life, as my focus and desire changed, I realized I need different things. When I used to compete, I went to the gym, 6, 7 times a week, because it required the preparation and required to be in the gym. It required to be with a coach. And that meant maybe dialing down less on some other things. Maybe I don't have such a busy business lifestyle. And that's why I think a lot of people nowadays, if you're like, I used to coach athletes, right? And being an athlete myself, I know that that lifestyle is very demanding, and not everybody is able to maintain it for a really long period of time. I met people who compete, year over year, but how many were really happy? I can tell you, we're really handful, if not even. And that's the thing what I decided for myself. I wanted to have life, and we are mortal human beings, right? We want to have life. We want to enjoy and binge on pizza a little bit once in a while. We want to have a chocolate, and we don't want to eat salads all day long. And if you're really honest, if you look at the people, on Instagram, social media, and how people look, and because I was on the stage, I know how much effort goes into it. It is really not sustainable for everybody. And even if you really dial down nutrition, health, and sleep, and all these things, still it takes really a lot of time, and genetics play into it, and also a bit of luck, how you train, how fast you recover the muscle fiber, and how often you exercise. So this is very exciting, because you can really dictate how well you design your environment. So for that, I would again encourage you to exercise if you can. Include some high interval training, which has been documented scientifically to improve, blood flow to the brain, blood flow to the different parts of the body. Make sure that you actually create and generate energy. So it taxes, also high interval training taxes your nervous system a little bit. So watch out with that. Just any really heavy physical exercise taxes your nervous system, which can also mean that your nervous system recovers sometimes differently than your body recovers. You can be your body can feel really recovered, but your nervous system might not feel recovered. And this is why some people actually overdo it. And I think if you are starting out, you don't have to worry, not with the fact that you will overdo it. It's more that subsequent and sequential training and the habit of never taking a break. So that's why when I used to design my workouts for my clients, I used to do it that, every 12 weeks, you kind of take a week off, you deload, you do maybe some more lighter work, yoga, run, etc. And that's what I'm doing actually this week, because I had 13 weeks behind me or 12 weeks behind me. And now, again, I will be pushing the next, 12 weeks. And sometimes it's 4 weeks, depending again on the cycle of my life and cycle of your life. So keep it flexible, keep your mind open, look what is out there. But again, don't believe everything you see online. And I think you and me and all the consumers out there, we are more critical and suspicious to what we see. At least I am like that. Even if I'm very trusting, I tend to kind of think twice before I really try something, or maybe not try, but before I really trust somebody. And I think building trust generally takes time. So if you want to really see big improvement in your life, just do that. Include some type of exercise, lifting weights, etc. And if you need some help and suggestion, please contact me. I'm more than happy to help. I'm to be found on LinkedIn under Matteo Melichar, or you can contact me, directly via email, and go to my website matteomelichar.co, and there you can definitely reach out. The second thing that I mentioned before, it's kind of really focus on positivity. And positivity for me is not just thinking positively and thoughts, but it's really managing your thoughts. It's managing how well you are preparing for the day, and a little bit your outlook on life, having a vision of what type of person you want to be. And that helped me a lot in my life to overcome a lot of things where, I was born in Eastern Europe, humble beginnings, grew up on a farm, and I struggled often with genetically, because we had a lot of depression and anxiety in our family, the way we were growing up. And Eastern European countries tend to be a little bit more, conservative and more old fashioned, if I would say. The way you grow up, the way their parents grow up their kids, sometimes it can be very physical. It depends again where you grow up. I grew up still in a more older Eastern Europe with more old fashioned mindset. And that sometimes can scar people, right? So for that, building your positive mindset, understanding your thoughts, and really kind of building it in a central pillar of your life. And it encompasses way more than just being positive, being optimistic, and thinking down on problems. It's really more the attitude toward things and being solution oriented, understanding how much you can control, how much you cannot control. And it already kind of breaches out or reaches into the second or third realm that I preach, which is resilience. And I really see in my life as well, when you think about optimism, it has to do something with emotional regulation as well, right? And that's what Susan David talks about. I've been giving this workshop the other 2 3 times in different groups, and many people like this just because you really talk about what matters. And why I'm picking these topics about resilience and about emotional agility, because that's what is required for you to go to the next level in the future. It's this universal topic that will never go away. You know, if you live in Europe, if you live, let's say, in a world now, you probably might, like me, sometimes scratch your head, pull your hair, because you're like, why the heck is this happening? Why people cannot be a little bit more, caring, empathetic, kind to each other? Why they have to be angry, and causing havoc, wars, etc. And if you're asking that I'm asking that, and the world is asking that. And for that, what we can do and what we can control is control ourselves and our perspective. And the media and everything else out there can sometimes impact the way we feel about things, but you, to the big extent, dictate what you're gonna let in. And I know this is psychology 101, and I'm here not to preach what to do, but I'm just saying, in my life, what I've seen and what I've done wrong many times is just because I believe a lot of this stuff. And it just made me sometimes a little bit, how you say, sad and unhappy about some of the things that didn't really pan out as I wanted them to pan out. And that's what I would encourage you as well in your life, to think, how can you improve this realm of kind of taking positive thoughts and thinking about the vision for your life. And the third realm that I already kind of touched upon is really the emotional regulation and agility, and that's bouncing back into different stronger self. And for that, the exercise I usually do with myself is the obstacles that you overcome and kind of seeing the bigger version, the better version, the stronger version of yourself, and how you are able to overcome these things. And I know that, especially in my life, if you are like me, a little bit impatient, you usually want things right here, right now, and doing things sequentially and knowing that. And I mean, this took me a really long time to figure out, but usually as youngsters, we tend to rush. We tend to rush through things and lessons, and I always felt that I will miss out if I don't push, if I don't try. And I think that's right, partially because I know I've known people historically who just never moved from their home, never changed a partner. And I don't say you should change a partner, but never really pushed themselves. And this is why their life looks like how it is. I don't say it's bad. I don't say it's good, but it is. Sometimes when I listen to these people, they seem unhappy just because they didn't really stretch themselves. And this is what resilience, in my opinion, is. It's not just only the reactive part where you kind of always gauge what's coming at you and how you react, but it's also the active part, you putting your foot on a gas pedal and say, I want to go and live beyond my comfort zone. And it doesn't have to be that crazy. Like, a lot of people out there now, what you see on social media, that you should be this and you should be public speaker, you should be a millionaire. Says who, right? And you dictate how you want to be. If you want to be a farmer, go for it, but maybe it's really this little inner voice, your gut feeling, that tells you, I always wanted to try to be a painter. And doing that in a nice natural way, at least that's, I've tried both things, right? And now I'm more on the path where I know that even if I push, things just generally take time. But sometimes why things don't happen is because we don't take action. And you want not just the reactive, you want to get really strong when things come at you and just keep hitting you, and you kind of decide yourself and your inner narrative. But you want to be active, you want to go proactively in the world, you want to put yourself out there, you want to build new skills, you want to learn new languages, you want to meet new people, you want to build a business if you want to do that. And maybe sometimes it's not immediately spending 25 30,000 to registering your your limited liability company. It's maybe just registering yourself as a freelancer and doing it sequentially, step by step. I remember this one group that I was leading in COVID, and it was with two other coaches. One was high performance, and then the one was a little bit facilitation about anger and other things. And I was facilitating the fitness and the wellness. And we were talking about, we had a group of mixed ladies from different countries, UK, Singapore, Germany, etc. And I remember this one lady who pretty much was just I think, working in a bank and really in a busy part of her life. But generally, that is how her life was and used to be. And she actually struggled with the basic thing, just get up, exercise, or even go for a walk, right? So the suggestion I remember I was giving her back then, and I said, hey, I totally get it. We all struggle with that. It's not like you have the maybe bandwidth now to work out 5 hours a week. But one thing is just because it's not your priority. And the second, because you don't have the habits built in place to make that happen. So for you to make it a priority, you need to decide, right? Do I want in 1 year to exercise every day for 20 minutes? Maybe it will not happen in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, but it could happen if you start with 5 minutes, taking a walk every now and then, or maybe twice a day around the block, right? And in COVID, it was anyway difficult to move out, and a lot of people fell back into their old selves. So it's really tough. But again, remember, it's this reactive part. You want to become really strong, ultra strong, and it's also this preventive part. Then I want to give you a little tip. It's about how to think in terms of resilience and high performance. And that's where I just want to bring you a couple more pointers to think, how to overcome and how to be even stronger. So I think generally it's always very good, and I hope as I'm evolving as a consultant in this sphere a little bit and in the different groups that I'm leading, I want to bring you different tools as well. And in my line of work, professionally as well, I try to bring this into the companies just to make sure that companies kind of build themselves for the future. And that means also starting with you. And I think the biggest challenge that I see out there is that we don't score ourselves enough. And with enough, I mean scoring ourselves, getting kind of some foundation of where we are at in terms of our resilience. I just gave you three metrics, right? From 1 to 10, where are you at on in terms of energy, right? 1 to 10, where are you on positivity? 1 to 10, where are you on your resilience? And if we take the resilience, for example, it's three things. You could dial it down even a little bit further, right? It depends how you score it. I use these different metrics just to make sure to challenge myself. But resilience for you could be the one bucket is how well you bounce back from, how well you navigate change, right? And challenge. That's for many of us a big thing. And the second thing could be your well being. So you could kind of categorize even in resilience your energy, right? So your readiness, how well you're ready to kind of go out there, put yourself out there, your energy levels. So that means also exercise, health, all of it together, your activity and health awareness. And then the third thing for you could be really the performance mindset, right? So that could be another kind of the second. I mentioned the first kind of category, the three things, and the second could be you just classify resilience in terms of bouncing back, navigating change, well-being, and performance mindset, and performance mindset is a big one, right? That's why I said at the start of the discussion, for some people it's resilience. For me, really, it's about high performance. Like you could call it high performance, you could call it resilience. It's all kind of the same thing. It's just named differently. And performance mindset for me, it's about focus. It's about high performance, which is, if you take it in a context of being a sport athlete, am I ready to swim the 100 meters as best as I can and have the first place, right? Or if I'm doing an obstacle run for 40 kilometers, can I actually win that and do it under 7 hours? And big thing as well with this, with high performance comes purpose. I feel that a lot of people now, especially in the world, are so focused on working hard, working long hours, just like me, and I've been there. And they substitute, this high performance for workaholism and not taking breaks, and that's not the definition of high performance, right? It's really about having meaningful relationships, having people in your life that you trust. It's also managing kind of all these inner states and having positive attitude and good well-being, right? So I want to dial it down a little bit, one step deeper for the resilience, and then I think we will round off slowly. But I just want to give you a few more pointers for you as you go through this exercise to think about resilience. So the you know, first thing when I'm thinking about resilience, it's really standard kind of factors that you could factor in for yourself. Again, those are optional, not necessary, but you could think about some embracing environmental factors. So in that case, really, what are your daily habits in terms of changes, reducing ecological footprint, recycling, even sustainability, right? Using public transportation. Um, I know this maybe is a little bit out there. The second thing, sharpening your focus, right? That's a little bit about how you practice concentration, how you exercise, distraction in the workplace, right? So multitasking versus monotasking, maintaining clear, kind of focused mind. Then also the third one that I really like is nurturing your curiosity. And this is a big one because I feel, especially as the people that I meet, if you want to be successful in something, you got to be very structured. You got to be focused. You got to have these habits dial in. That's why you see that people wake up in the morning. The first thing they do exercise, then they meditate, and they go for a walk, then they ride, and they take a break, etc., etc. And I think learning to be curious, learning to switch up your routine and have diverse perspective and be in unfamiliar territory, if you will, is so healthy. Especially I see it in my life, and my partner helped me in this a lot. The fourth thing is what I mentioned before, committing to exercise. This is like non-negotiable if you want to live long and healthy life without diseases. I didn't mention it before, but this is the probably the primary thing for me why I exercise, because I've seen in my family the history of cancers and diabetes and elderly dementia. And whether that's gym or yoga or cycling, consistency is a key. And the kind of final thing is what I already mentioned as well a little bit through and on, is health, cultivating kind of health consciousness. This is also a very interesting area, because for me it can change, right? I used to eat a lot of meat, right? I was going through these different diets until I figured I need to build a lifestyle that works for me, right? And with my partner, we went through this both because we both come from this background, and that's also how we met, because we both competed, and the standard bodybuilding diet, it's not really healthy. But if you want to live long, it's about regularly monitoring your health. So that's why I have some variables, or some variable managing kind of the condition, being proactive in terms of health topics, constantly innovating, right? And improving, reading out there, Dr. Peter Attia writes books, or Dr. Andrew Haberman, all these resources are there. Then if we kind of come back to the bouncing, really the how well the capacity to navigate change, that's also very interesting. It's about kind of seeking supportive community, and I know this took me really a long time to hire a coach, look for some resource. I used to always read that, but I honestly think it's not enough. I think it's just passively absorbing stuff helps you, but it's really this active engaging with people, talking about your emotional intelligence, talking about your emotional agility, and how that can be intertwined into your management skills, right? When you're building team, to enhance kind of your capacity to bounce back from adversity. Remember the passive and the active that I was mentioning before. And for this goes kind of 5 points. First, managing your workload. This is a huge one. I was talking about multitasking versus monotasking, but think about how much workload you have. And I know people who just proud themselves, like myself, work hard, work smart, work long hours, but then there is no room for anything else. Can you delegate? Can you prioritize? And is there a potential danger of overload? Second, reduce work intensity. I think this is a big one, right? Because a lot of us use nootropics, or some type of caffeine beverages to enhance our concentration, to enhance our kind of focus. And we need to establish clear boundaries. We need to think between work and personal time. And one thing that helped me a lot with in this is understanding how my body feels when I am supercharged with these nootropics, like these Chinese mushrooms, ashwagandha or chaga, or different type of stimulants like coffee, and how you feel without it, right? And it's very easy, even when I used to work out, to slip into I needed some type of stimulant. So remember, it's sometimes good to actually leave some days without a stimulant, so you give your adrenals a little break. Taking creatine, a lot of sports athletes taking it for mental focus and improving memory. So you can experiment with these things. The third thing is combating empathy fatigue. I like this one a lot because I consider myself a giver. If you don't know what this term means, read the book from Adam Grant, Give and Take. And many of us, I believe, are good human beings, and we want to give our time, our attention to people. We want to help people. And sometimes we can be in this really giving environment that we forget to protect our emotional health, our well-being, and we don't take enough time to self-care, recharge, and kind of to go back, and then we can again give to others. Fourth thing is, in my opinion, clarifying a little bit your role, what you want to do, what you want to put out there in the world. And that also means that sometimes you might talk to your manager about the responsibility, or you might talk to yourself or your spouse because you have too much on your plate. And the final thing is about multitasking versus single tasking. It's a big for all of us. Sometimes we tend to have a lot of things on our plate, and we think, running in all different directions can help us. But sometimes it's really this monotasking and remembering that things just take time and better focusing on one thing. The kind of third bucket, again, remember I gave you one framework. Now I'm giving you a second one in a little bit more detail. So for you, that you can think, okay, yeah, this is very interesting. This is not so interesting for me. When we think about well-being, in the past I used to talk a lot and only about fitness and health and mindset. This is how I was talking about it in my old days when I used to do boot camps and telling people you need to have drive, you need to have motivation, but at the same time you need to be taking care about what you eat and how you exercise. But now I think well-being is a little bit more integration of different practices to boost mood, to boost energy, to boost connections. And I think this third bucket, that's something I used to neglect a lot as a coach. And I don't think in the past people have seen it like that. You've seen it obviously through going to the gym and talking to people. But if you go to traditional gym and you work out, people usually don't talk to each other. Everybody has their headset on, and they don't really care to what the other one is doing. It's just about me. And I think that's also the challenge with typical bodybuilding, because it's a very self-centric sport. And I think well-being is really about bringing core values and bringing joy into one's life's tapestry, if you will. So there are also 5 things that I think that could be interesting for you. Commit to regular exercise. I said it before, I will not repeat it again. Just have some schedule every week, depending, and think also, factor in the different phases in your life. You know that the Q2 will be very busy. What can you optimize so you exercise anyway, even if it means having an app exercising in your hotel room. Second, cultivate health consciousness. This is a huge one because many of us are not conscious what we eat, just because it's a habit to binge watch Netflix and eat chips every evening. I have simple rules that I developed throughout the years. Sometimes no alcohol during the month. Depending where I'm at, sometimes it is no sweets, no bread, because bread is a big thing for me. So I eat it usually on the weekends. Or if I eat bread and I buy only sourdough bread, and not the normal gluten one. So I can see the difference, feel the difference on my gut as well, and sleep. And it's really managing the conditions, right? Your drawer you shouldn't have sweets at home. Just buy it, eat it, and get rid of it. Building resilience, we talk about it, but it's also when you say no, and fasting is something that I've been doing for a long time, and it helped me a lot to build resilience. So I have these Monday's fast that I have almost 22 to 24 hours I'm fasting. And if you factor that in, 4 times a month, you pretty much go 4 days kind of fast. And I think that's also a secret for a lot of people for longevity and people who live long, happy. They just eat less and include some type of fasting. The fourth thing is balancing activity and recovery. You can really quickly, like myself, get really obsessed about working out, but then get sick often. That happened to me a lot as well. Taking cold showers, taking cold bath, and pushing your immune system too far. So be cautious. Be focused on doing these things, one thing and one step at a time, and you will see your life will be better for it. And then fostering safe environment. I think we need to work actively in environments that foster a little bit this feeling safe, expressing our ideas, taking risks. So it's also really about the communication and social support. So where you work, maybe working home occasionally if you can, just to have a little bit life balance, if you don't have to be in the office. But then also choose an employer that please, and I cannot repeat this often enough because I made a mistake many times. Choose please a career that actually resonates with you. Don't take it just because you need to take the money. Really make sure you choose the manager and you stand behind it. And if you feel in your gut you shouldn't take it, please don't do that. The final thing I want to talk about, guys, is generally the performance mindset. I want you to be strong. And I think it really comes back to your vision in your life, comes back to kind of seeking fulfillment, sharpening your focus, embracing your environment as it is, your habits, changes to how you feel, and kind of make sure that you feed your curiosity. So I said these things before a little bit, but I wanted to sum that up because I feel this is ultra important for where you're going in your life. And remember, at the beginning of the discussion, we talk about radiating energy, building or shining positivity, and inspiring resilience. These three things are one way to talking about things. But then you can see also as a, and talking before we go in a second, talking about resilience, we talked about the passive and the active one. You want to kind of keep that. You want to have this inner citadel, as I call it, to manage the inner voice and navigate change. But then at the same time, I want you as well to think about developing these metrics for yourself in terms of resilience, which includes, like bouncing from obstacles, your well being, and your performance mindset. And when you have that dial in for yourself, you can really quickly, and I went in these, maybe re listen to it, what could each of these metrics consist of, and then you can dial that in and say, okay, I know that performance for me, it's a lot about, like I said, sharpening your focus, multitasking versus monotasking, seeking fulfillment, thinking of passions that really fulfill your life's purpose. This helped me a lot because sometimes we go through a period of life, we are employed somewhere, we know this is not the final destination, but it serves the journey, it serves the purpose. But the purpose for us, maybe it's just like for me, right? To be a aspiring humanitarian with, strong mind and fitness heart. And I want to help people on their journey to become stronger, right? And to write their own story, resilient story that they can look back and say, wow, who I have become, it's inspiring. Maybe I'm not a mainstream celebrity, but I have done something that is inspiring and that is great. So again, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here, watching this. Hope that served you, that helped you. Please, please, please share it with 3 of your friends if you can. I know this is a lot to ask, so ideally you share it with 5 because people need to hear this. Subscribe to the weekly newsletter. I'm also now rolling out some new things in the future. I have written in the past quite a few ebooks, so I will now try to get into a habit to record all of it and share it on Spotify for you guys. I have written the Mastering Body, Mind, and Life in the past, and we've written that, and that is also as a course on YouTube. You can definitely access it if you look under my name, or Mr. Positive, and I'll be including more of this stuff and some type of guidelines for you guys to improve yourself. I want to thank you again for listening and sharing this. Again, please share it with 3 people. I try to really pay it forward and give as much value to you guys, a lot of these tools. And again, I keep leveling up, so you keep leveling up, and we together can create a better world together. So until the next time, stay awesome, and thank you again for your time. Stay positive. Remember, radiate energy, shine positivity, and inspire resilience. People need you. And for that, you need to build skills that are universal, and that regardless of what's happening out there, here inside, you will be strong. Until the next time, stay legendary.